I'm here. Look, I put my hair up for a change because I'm always messing with my hair. I'm constantly messing with my hair. And so today I have a serious stream. Well, it's sort of what I mean is this stream is I don't know. It's really hard to describe how I felt when I read this Vanity Fair article. And I want to take myself off screen. And first of all, welcome to the people who are here. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. If you wouldn't mind, consider becoming a member. I'm going to take myself off screen for a moment and read this excerpt that's on the background. And I mean, that just goes to show that the oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm not. Oh, you hear me. Okay. Wolfie hears me. Hi, Mary Rose. Hi, Brooke. Oh, okay. That's weird. I guess when I took myself off screen, it automatically muted me. But, right. Maybe if I do this? No, I guess not. Anyway, I was just reading the excerpt from the article on the screen. It's hard to explain how I felt when I saw that. Hello, Sunny. Welcome. It's hard to explain how I felt when I read this Vanity Fair article because I feel like not in totality, but it encapsulated what I've been trying to say specifically about true crime on social media almost for as long as I've been on YouTube. More or less, well, very specifically since I started this channel, Checkmate Humanity, because it was from my experience having just a straight up true crime channel that I noticed what was happening and what's being described in this Vanity Fair article. Welcome to everybody who's joining. What I would love to do right now is for you guys to put a 1 in the chat if you have not read the Vanity Fair article yet, because my plan is to read it for you because I think it's such an important article, but I want to read it and commentate on it and point out to you the parts. And I'm not going to read the entire thing for a variety of reasons, because it's long. Vanity Fair articles tend to be long. Hello, Scarlet Sapphire Pegasus. Hello, Tiggy Girl. Hello, Nancy. Okay, there's a lot of ones. Great. So I will be reading this for you. And what I'm going to do is commentate, but also I'm going to give you some insight into how these kinds of articles come together. Because as I've told you in multiple videos, my core expertise is in PR, public relations. What I used to do for companies like Apple and Google and Twitter and multiple startups after working at all those companies is I helped to pitch these types of stories, and I helped to, it's not just about pitching these stories, it's also about working with the it's about working with the journalists to help them get the information that they need, fact checking with them. But what you need to understand is that even when you pitch a story to the media, you have no guarantee how it's going to turn out. You can pitch a story to the media about your company or your, talent or whoever it is that you're pitching it for, and it can backfire on you. It can turn into a hit piece on the person that you pitch. So you have to be really, really careful. And I think that my suspicion is that what happened with this particular piece is that Vanity Fair was already interested in the idea of true crime and media and social media, and that NewsNation was interested in being featured and and they wanted to feature a journalist. Wolfie brought a wrench with her. I'm my own wrench here, and I'm trying to straighten out my sweatshirt here. See, I got a YouTube sweatshirt when I worked there. I didn't work at YouTube. I worked at Google. This is super old. It's like, anyway. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to kind of talk through that a little bit as I read the article as well. Sunny, I did notice that the Glare read it. I had already seen the Vanity Fair article, but I noticed that he was reading it and having Bullhorn Betty read parts of it last night as well. And I have to give him a shout out for that, because that was incredibly entertaining. It was so entertaining that I'm going to read up to the point where she reads about herself. And then I'm going to do this meta commentating on her reactions to what was written about her, because I think it's absolutely, it's crazy that we have this immediate feedback loop of the media writing about the media writing about social media, and then social media commentating on how they've been covered in the media, and doing it in such a way that is so it's comical. It's lolcow, to be honest with you. So without further ado, I'm going to pull up the article here. And again, I just want to welcome you. Thank you for being here. Remember to hit the like and subscribe. Okay. So here's the article. So there's there's the article. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the, a lot of other people call it tragedy pimping. I call it the vulture culture. I like to come up with my own metaphors. All right, so here it is. It's focused on the Idaho murders, but really gets into the, Idaho murders. As a small town grapples with sinister rumors, media's true crime obsession grows. So it's not just about social media; it's about media as well. So, and just there was a time in my PR career where I represented media companies, and I have to tell you, it's really hard to get. Thanks, judge and jury. It's really hard to get the media to cover the media, because they compete with each other. So, for instance, I actually worked for the Wall Street Journal as a contractor for like 6 months. And, the Wall Street Journal would love to get positive coverage in like the New York Times, right? But imagine me contacting the New York Times and saying, hey, will you write this amazing story about the Wall Street Journal? They are head-on competitors in many ways. And so doing that is really hard. And you have to be careful that whatever's going to be written is not going to end up being a hit piece. You have no control over that. And I think to a certain extent that might have been what happened with NewsNation here. NewsNation was heavily featured in this article. And even though it really makes them look good in many ways, it also kind of makes them, it kind of mocks them in many ways. So let me start reading this. Corner Club owner Mike Trivelpiece was starting to hate reporters. As a rule, he condemns violence. Anyone who throws punches in the corner club gets booted. But 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks into the media storm surrounding murders of the 4 college kids in his town, Trivelpiece was beginning to think that people don't get punched in the face enough. On November 13th, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Maddie Mogan had been stabbed to death in the girls' off-campus house in Moscow, home to the University of Idaho. Trivelpiece's bar is where 2 of the victims, Gonsalves and Mogan, spent their last evening on Earth. When the murders made news, the media swarmed. Trivelpiece's business, in particular, came under siege. "I want the corner club to be famous," he said, "but not for this." When reporters barged in, talking about the murders in such a casual way, Trivelpiece was like, "Whatever you guys want to talk about at home is fine, but their friends, the victims, are sitting right there, so let's not do this." He turned down location fees from NBC, ignored calls from TMZ, banished journalists from as far away as the London Telegraph, but they kept coming. Someone claiming to be from Fox News had already followed a corner club employee's roommate to work. Like other Moscow business owners, Trivelpiece's workforce and customer base are heavily composed of students who make up about half the town's population. After the murders, Fox estimated that 25 to 40% of those students fled home. There was a killer on the loose, but Trivelpiece wondered if media harassment played a role in the mass exodus, and he's probably right about that. How many students aren't going to come back because Fox News is sitting out in front of their house? And I think he was just using a Fox News as an example. It wasn't just Fox News that was following people around. "We're in mourning and we're a small town and we know what's going to happen," he said to me. You guys are going to go home and you're going to write your story. And if you write something that maybe puts us in a negative light, it doesn't matter to you, but it matters to us. And we have to sit around and deal with the repercussions of that and explain to the rest of the community, I was misquoted, or, they didn't understand what I was saying. And we don't want to do that. We just want to be there for each other right now. So that is so powerful to me, you guys, that he's speaking to the immediate trauma that they are all going through, and the fact that the media is descending, and this is just the nature of life and humanity, unfortunately, is that the media always descends on tragedy, and they always hound people like wolves. You guys are talking about wolves and vultures on in the chat. Look, and I also want to say, I'm not trying to vultures. I'm talking about people who turn into vultures for greedy purposes online. But he's talking about how, we're just trying to take our moment here and grieve for ourselves, and you guys are trying to invade. I have a friend who says, just trespassing on our tragedy at the worst possible time in our lives. So that's what this guy is talking to, and that's a powerful quote. The bar's only rule was don't be an asshole. In a single day, Trivelpiece had thrown out 11 reporters. The problem was he couldn't throw out the invisible army of internet trolls who followed those reporters, and exponentially more of them flocked to his social media pages and the pages of his employees every time Corner Club was mentioned in the news. So what's important about that sentence there is that the media ethically need to, the media need to ethically identify who they are. When they go to the Corner Club and say, hey, I'm writing a story on this, they need to say, I'm from Fox News, I'm from Vanity Fair, but internet, trolls or internet reporters, they can go in and with a big media hat, pretending they're the media, but they aren't putting themselves under any ethical standards to identify who they're doing it for. And it's unlikely less likely that someone's going to talk to them if they're from a YouTube channel that does not respect their boundaries or respect ethics, right? So and this is a relatively new phenomenon, right? That social media is starting to become even more of a factor in this true crime coverage, that people are starting to see that there is a way to make a living online from being from covering true crime. And so there's more and more, and also there's no accountability from anyone really, except the self-policing of the community when somebody lies about their credentials or pretends to be something they're not, about impersonating a real journalist. So we're in this kind of weird point in our world right now where we're going to have to emerge from it at some point with some sort of understanding of how to differentiate from somebody who's going to really care about the story and treat it with the respect and dignity it deserves, or who's going and distinguishing that from somebody who's just going to troll and grift and stuff like that. Welcome to everybody who's coming in. I'm going to keep reading. The problem was he couldn't throw out I already read that part. Now, he'd read Reddit threads that painted Moscow as a dark, depressing town because the sun set at 4:30 p.m. Well, we didn't fucking choose when or where our time zone borders are, Trivial Peace said. Someone, Mike Gumbali, had left a Google review of the bar saying, "These girls, Kaylee and Maddie, told me the food is to die for." What a horrible thing to say. Trivial Peace's staff member, Adam, oh God, poor Adam, was doxxed and harassed after news reports aired security camera footage of Gonsalves and Mogan walking around downtown Moscow talking about someone named Adam. "They want to click on their TikTok or their YouTube or whatever," said Trivial Peace, referring to reporters and internet trolls that follow in their wake. "All social media has done is to make idiots realize they're not alone." And so what they're saying there is that social media, the powerful thing they're saying there is that social media isn't helping these cases. Social media isn't doing anything. If the only thing social media can do to help is assist in getting the word out, assist law enforcement in getting the word out. And when law enforcement asks for help, to assist in that way. For instance, in the Gabby Petito case, it wasn't a purposeful finding of Gabby's van. It was an accidental finding of Gabby's van that helped solve that case. Max Smith says, "The true crime community full of grifters and the lowest form of opportunists who could have predicted that." Exactly. All right, continuing on. And I just really like this poll quote. "Murder investigations happen on a microscopic level to denigrate the process may partly reflect a growing discomfort with law enforcement, but considering oneself more capable speaks to a larger delusion that online we can do anything." I mean, I just think that's so insightful. Other local businesses faced similar scrutiny. "My shit is bad right now with these assholes," texted Trivial Peace's buddy Jeff Smitty Smith, who owns Moscow Bagel and Deli down the road. At the time, Smith was paying twice the price for 20% less profit at night. He decided to keep his store double staffed at dark, hoping to make his young employees feel safer and insulate them from the ongoing media harassment. Instead, the store was getting bombarded and borderline terrorized, in Smith's words, by acolytes of YouTube psychic Reverend Donna Serafina, who told her then 46,400 subscribers that the Moscow murderer, whoever that was at the time, there were no suspects or arrests, baked his own bread at a bread place. probably owned by said murderer's parents. Since posting the video, Serafina has gained more than 10,000 subscribers. I don't make my own bread, Smith corrected them. I don't have a son. I've never married, never had a child. But it was no use. The messages and comments and posts proliferated. Visits to the company Facebook page soared from 243 to 231,138. Oh my God. For failing to turn in his non-existent son, Smith received a suspicious catering order from Douchey Coward Inc. Imagine that, you guys. Welcome to those of you who are coming in. Thank you for joining. Hello, Kennedy. I agree, Kennedy. It makes it worse sometimes. Trivial Peace, a University of Idaho alum, was hanging out with his bulldogs, Matilda and Sarge, when one of his buddies reached out to say the Corner Club was on TV again, this time on NewsNation's Banfield, hosted by Ashley Banfield, whom readers might remember from her MSNBC coverage of the 9/11 attacks and who is now more of a sotto voce Nancy Grace. It was December 12th. A news banner read, Day 29, killer still on the loose. Banner's somber face was left in a triptych of live shots opposite a slideshow of the Corner Club. This side of the building, that side of the building, and the neon business side. Stage center, 37-year-old NewsNation reporter Brian Enton, a tan, attractive tan with thick gray hair. The Corner Club, Banfield intoned, that's where Kaylee and Maddie were. Yeah, Enton looked somber. I've been there. There are a lot of cameras there. There were cameras on the outside and cameras on the inside. As far as I can tell, I went inside. The bartender wouldn't talk, but I saw cameras with my own eyes. Idiot, Trivial Peace thought. When Enton descends on a town, and then they go into this part about this kind of feature part about NewsNation and Brian Enton, and it's part mockery, part flattery. It's kind of interesting. And I kind of want to skip over that part because to me, it's not as interesting, the whole feature of the NewsNation. I'm more interested in the idea of the vultures. TNT was one of the first channels I read on the ID murders and soon discovered the type of person who ran that child only find another and another. It's true, Max. I mean, she's one of several, unfortunately. So I'm going to skip through kind of the N10 pieces, but let me see. Is this one? Yeah, and they go through kind of how he feels nervous about the fact that he has to do a live shot, and it's called Enton's Idaho Murder Mystery Special Report, and that he was standing in front of the house, and there's some concern with how that comes across as well, understandably. And then it goes on to give some background on web sleuths and how their monikers came. And it goes into the background of don't fuck with cats. And it talks about how kind of Brian Enton came onto the scene with Gabby Petito. That was when I first saw Brian Enton, was during the Gabby Petito coverage, because I was collaborating with a live streamer on the Gabby Petito case, and he was right there on the front lawn at the Brian Laundrie house, and then they start to talk about let me see, where has yeah, there's so much about Enton here. So much about Enton, and then how he came on. With that case. But I'm gonna get to the part where Bullhorn Betty starts to read her own part of the read her own journalism because it's, oh wait, where did it, sorry you guys, my dog is a little bit distracting me right now. Yeah, okay. So let's pull that up right now. I'm checking chat at the moment. Oh, of course. Any person could be the target of rogue true crime channel creator and have their life ruined. And yep, absolutely. I remember Brian entering covering little Dr. Koontz. Yeah. Okay, let me pull up this. This is just what we call in the tech community meta, meaning that you're talking about something that is you're talking about something that is like itself. Hold on just a sec. And I want to, before I pull this up, I want to give a shout out to the Glairer for giving me this idea to allow Bullhorn Betty to read her own part and then to commentate on top of her commentation, because it's just it's too much. It's too much to see somebody reading about their own about the mainstream media mocking them and them mocking the mainstream media in such honestly ignorant ways. Okay, so here we go.
Since then, crime reporters have been in competition with a new breed of paparazzi. Oh, so paparazzo.
I'm even going to, for the sake of, I'm going to slow down her voice. Oh, wait. I'm going to slow down her voice just a tad. Just a tad.
Okay. Because your reporters now have to compete. We are the paparazzo, right?
Yes. Yeah, and but the thing is that they aren't hello little bit, welcome. Hello Mona Lisa. Thank you for that. Yeah, but here's the thing. So it is absolutely hilarious to hear this person call herself competition to the media, because the media doesn't raise money from their supporters directly online to then go, hello Tina, to then go and do their jobs. They actually get paid by real companies to do their jobs. They actually get paid for their content. They don't ask for handouts from their supporters to then go and do their jobs and harass people, saying that it's journalism, when it's not. When it's just, journalism is about covering a topic and giving equity to both sides, giving both sides a chance. And in criminal justice reporting, it's following really the tenets of the justice system, which is innocent before proven guilty, right? But that's not what people like Bullhorn Betty and her cohort do. They go and they decide who they believe is guilty, and they go protest. So this is really what they do, is actually protesting. And they ask for handouts before traveling to do this protesting while calling it journalism.
Right? So if you have to compete with us, then isn't that what you're calling your own news reporters? Just a thought. Just a thought.
Again, hilarious. You are not competition. You may be competition for actual physical eyes, but not for quality, not for journalistic quality. Okay.
Just a thought. While reporting on the Petito from her killer's lawn, Enton found himself shoulder to shoulder with vigilante. Listen to this: vigilante civilians. Excuse me, I'm not a vigilante civilian. I'm a protester, Kathleen. But see, if you had any kind of integrity in your reporting.
See, let me just look up the word vigilante, okay? Let me just look up what does the word vigilante mean? Vigilante, because I don't want to go off script. Vigilante definition. Oh my goodness. It's not giving me the right. Vigilante definition. A member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority. Typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate. I'm sorry, but what they do is the very definition. What I just read is exactly what they do. It's protesting and vigilantism, because they're going in and do you remember what they were doing in front of that poor Quentin Simon's house? They were blasting in front of, they were telling this woman to turn herself in. They were taking matters into their own hands. They were berating the police in front of the Idaho 4 house. She's standing there and some guy says, "Hey, why don't you leave these people alone?" And she gets into this, she goes and tells the police, that guy's harassing me. I don't know what else you call that. Maybe she's not going in guns a-blazing and saying you're under arrest, but there's certainly, it's vigilante journalism. Okay. All right, let's keep going. At this rate, I'm never going to get through this.
You would have reached out to me. I would have corrected you.
Oh.
So
and I don't think, yeah, she did spit on him. She did spit on him. That's kind of vigilante-ish as well, don't you think? I don't know. Did she get arrested? I don't have the facts on that Tiggy girl. Was it her or wasn't it Dolly that got arrested? And Mona Lisa, they claim that it was a neighbor that was playing the crying baby on the loudspeaker. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. But she's sitting here saying, if you, Kathleen Hale, the journalist who works for Vanity Fair, one of America's top mainstream media publications, who's been in existence for, I don't know, maybe almost 100 years, something like that, who writes for HBO, who is an accomplished journalist. And she's saying to this person, if you had any integrity in your reporting, you don't have to contact Bullhorn Betty to find out if she's a vigilante journalist or a vigilante social media actor. You can see that it's on display on her own channel. Okay, so hello, Amazing 80. Hello, everyone coming in. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe. Become a member if you so desire. Support my channel.
Vigilante civilians and social media influencers. So maybe she's not calling me. This is the vigilante civilian. because she's now following and social media influencers like Bullhorn Betty, who would later upload 3 videos about one of the Moscow victim's surviving roommate, featuring thumbnails of images of Xana Kernodle's face with the words, "Why didn't you save me?"
So imagine that. Imagine being called out for your absolute depravity, for your absolute heinous depravity online, and laughing at it, laughing in its face. I mean, that's what it comes to. Not looking at that and going, maybe since one of America's top mainstream media publications is calling out the fact that this is not cool, I should maybe be a little self-reflective on that. Maybe, just maybe.
Well, it was a legit question, right? It was a legit question. Like many sleuths, Betty's methods seem unscrupulous. She reports rumors and perpetrates harassment of innocent people. Never, not once.
Never not. You know, I don't follow Bullhorn Betty closely, but even I know that she perpetrates harassment regularly. I was covering Gabby Petito when she shows up with her bullhorn, and then Molly Golightly puts freaking laundry baskets on their lawn as if that's going to do anything, right? And then and they're sitting there yelling at the house. I also watch them scream and yell in front of Quentin Simon's house. I also watch them get Don Wells fired from his job. That is straight up harassment. Even if you think that you can justify it because you think that Don Wells might be guilty of something, it's still harassment. Even if he did do what you think he did, it doesn't mean that you didn't harass them. Okay? So I'm glad this is being called out. I sort of wish that Vanity Fair had been more heavy-handed on actually YouTube's allowing of this.
Your facts are flawed, lady. Your facts are flawed. First of all, never once reported rumors. We discussed them on here because they're floating about, but never reported them. We keep to the facts. We keep to the facts on this channel. And the harassment of innocent people, not one person that I have protested in front of have ever been innocent.
That's the thing. You don't know that. You don't know that. You are not the judge and the jury. That's what's so sorry, you guys. That's what's so fucked up about this. That's what is so fucked up, is that she can say this not just with a straight face, but with a smile on her face, with such overabundant confidence that and I just proved to you that she's justifying her harassment by saying that they aren't innocent. Okay? All right? So let's keep going.
Summer Walls family, not innocent. Leilani Simon, not innocent.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Now, I am a critic of Summer Wells' family, but I don't know what they did or didn't do in regards to Summer Wells. So she thinks she gets to decide who gets to be harassed, who doesn't get to be harassed. So take that to the next extreme. Does that mean she gets to decide who gets to go to jail, who doesn't get to go to jail? Take that to the nth extreme. She's not God. This woman is not God. That you have to take all of that kind of way of thinking and take it to the extreme, and take that idea and apply it to multiple scenarios and say this person can justify anything in their minds. That is dangerous. For when someone can justify so much harassment in their mind, what else can they justify?
Gabby Petito. Again, parents are going to court for exactly what we were saying in the front lawn, lady.
The parents have not been charged with anything. And what they were standing there doing was accusing the parents of crimes. I'm pissed. I'm just as pissed as anybody at the parents, but I'm not going to stand here and accuse them of crimes and believe that I have more right than anybody to determine the fate of what should happen to them. That's for the freaking courts to decide. That's right, J. Lord. Protester when it suits her, media at other times.
Get it through your thick skull. You're talking about rumors and perpetrating harassment of innocent people. Isn't this exactly what you're doing, Kathleen Hale? So again, my clippers, my haters out there on YouTube, I'm giving you some pay dirt here.
I'm not a hater, but thanks. Thanks. I'm not a hater. I'm
giving you some pay dirt here, right? But the bad news is you guys are too stupid to find this stuff yourself. So I'm reporting your news so you can clip me talking about me because you guys are too weak with no backbones. I'm talking to all you haters and jellyfish out there. You can't do the work.
I don't think she understands what work means. Just going to say that.
We do. Even when trying to find stuff to insult me with, right? So now I'm giving you your news so you can now insult me with the work I've already done for myself. Thank you. You're welcome. But for practical reasons, Enton has needed to find a way to coexist with people like her. Excuse me. Let me tell you something, Kathleen. He doesn't coexist with me. I actually know him. He's a nice guy. And you know what? At the end of the day, I'm a nice girl. And
I have not seen Bullhorn Betty really be a nice girl. She may be nice to some people, but I haven't seen her being a nice girl. Also, she continues on to talk about how she knows Brian Enton and he's a nice guy. You know what? You know what he is? He's professional. Professionals treat other people professionally. If he went around treating people the way Bullhorn Betty and JLR and TNT and other people do online, they would lose their jobs. Point blank. Okay? They would lose they couldn't They could not earn a job at NewsNation. They could not earn a job at Vanity Fair. They couldn't get their foot in the door based on their internet content. They get to stand next to those people in those scenarios because it's a free country. Because they're in a public space and there is a right to protest. And that's how they're showing up. Okay? And so, you know, it's absolutely hilarious to hear people like uh LOL Lana and defamation Betty. Yeah. It's hilarious to hear people like TNT go on and say, "Oh, me and Ashley, we're like this. We're buds." And then have Bullhorn Betty come on and be like, "He's a nice guy." Of course they're going to be professional. That's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be professional. It's as if it's unusual for them to come across somebody in the media who or in life who isn't cool. That's because that's what they're used to. That's the type of person that they're used to interacting with. No, in a professional setting, you behave professionally. And if Enton and Banfield behaved unprofessionally with these people, they could also be fired. So you're not getting any kind of special treatment if you end up in the DMs with Banfield because you have some sort of media tip or anything. And honestly, I kind of doubt that that's actually happening. It's probably happening with a producer. All right. So, all right. Enough of my blabbing.
You know, when we're out there, it's like no different than any other reporter. If he needs to get a shot, I move out of his way. If I need to get a shot, he moves out of mine. That's how it works in the real world, lady. But you're behind a computer in an office and probably have never investigated a crime in your life, never been boots on the ground in your life.
This entire she shows that she hasn't read the story, because the entire story shows that Kathleen, the author of the story, was boots on the ground. It demonstrates that she was boots on the ground. She went to the corner club. She interviewed the owner of the corner club. Hello, Amelia Sparkles, good to see you. Hi, I think I said hi to Violet. She got the sense it's extremely unusual for somebody like a Vanity Fair journalist to be writing a story like this and not to have gone to the location and interviewed people. And the actual story demonstrates that she was there. So once again, Bullhorn Betty is showing that she's going off the cuff. She's insulting the intelligence of her readers. I'm sorry, of her viewers by assuming that they aren't going to read this and realize that she's just completely mischaracterizing the way who this writer is. And of course, she also has to go into denigrating the writer. You know, she can't just attack the arguments. She can't just attack what she said. She has to attack the actual writer, right? All right.
Life, you're stuck away in that little hot hole that you type in. Just stay where you're at. He told a practical reason he needed to find a way to exist with people like her. I just want to get my job done every day. And he does a great job at getting his job done every day. He refuses to speak ill of Betty. In part, he jokes, because I don't want her showing up to my house with a bullhorn. Love you, Brian.
That is hilarious. So of course, this guy is a professional, and he's being interviewed by Vanity Fair about this woman, Bullhorn Betty, who shows up everywhere he shows up. Oh my God, Brian Enton's going to be there. This is going to get covered. I should show up too, right? And so he doesn't, he's a professional. He's not going to say some crap about her. He's not going to pull a Bullhorn Betty or a TNT or a JLR and say some crap about a journalist or a police officer in a Vanity Fair article. But he's also going to say, I don't want her showing up at my house with her bullhorn. Oh my God. Hilarious. Hilarious. Hilarious.
Love you, Brian.
I'm sure he's like, yeah, I love you too. They don't. It's really funny how these pseudo journalists, how these YouTube people, like YouTubers who think that they are journalists, develop these weird parasocial relationships with real journalists, and they start and when they end up in the same space as them and maybe have one or two little verbal conversations with them, now they're best buddies, and now they get to name drop them all the time and say, oh, yo, Brian, hey, Brian, come on to my channel, Brian, and it's lolcow. I'm sorry, it's really funny. Yeah. Also, as it's me, yeah, so she can attack him and get him to lose his job, right? Exactly. How funny.
Acknowledging I might know where you live might cause rumors to spread about. You might want to be careful. More seriously, Enton said it's not up to him whether sleuths have earned their place among trained reporters. The reality is that our digital ecosystem elevates the voices of specialists and enthusiasts alike. At the end of the day, they're still going to be here, he said, and I'm still going to be here. So God bless you, Brian Enton, for
so good for Brian Enton for basically being Captain Obvious and stating the obvious, and that is that they're always going to be here. He's always going to be here. But what he was speaking to is that social media, YouTube, gives non-professionals the look of being professional. It gives an air of professionalism, and it makes it a lot easier to seem like something you're not. And there's a virus going around on YouTube, especially right now. Yeah, that's right. Amified. She thinks he's complimenting her. There's a scam virus going on right now, like more than ever before than I've noticed, where I keep every day there's more people talking about how they've just gotten scammed by somebody they met on YouTube. So I'm going to do another stream soon, maybe this weekend, about how to break the YouTube scam cycle, like how to the detection, prevention, treatment, and healing from it, because it's rampant. And one of the issues is that it's so easy to put on a different persona on YouTube, and anybody can be manipulated. The Nobel Peace Prize winner Einstein could be manipulated. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It's possible to be manipulated, because anybody with human emotions who can be touched in a certain way can be manipulated. And sometimes it's hard to find or hard to detect when you're not aware of what to look for, especially when the tools of YouTube or the tools of social media are being used in the commission of that scam. So I want to put together a live stream to go through that. But it's what that portion of the article was talking about is the professionalism of non-professionals on YouTube. I've also called it LARPing, live action role play, where people are LARPing like, psychics. They're LARPing like journalists. They're LARPing like private investigators. And, people minimize the importance of training. And the end of the article gets into this, and I'm gonna get to that in a second.
Or again, you guys understand why I love Brian Enton. He has integrity. He has character. He has class. This is the reason why I speak so highly of Brian Enton, because even when somebody's wanting to make a story to demean somebody he knows, like he's spent weeks out there with me, just like I spent weeks out there with him. We kind of get to know who each other are. He knows I'm not a bad guy, and actually,
you don't know he doesn't know you're a bad guy. So what I'm going to do here at this point is pull up the end of the article, because the end of the article honestly gave me chills, because it encapsulated what I've been trying to say. Like it wrapped it up in a way that was profound, and I thought was a way that I would have liked to have said it myself. So let me get to it here. Yeah, LARPing is a funny word, huh? Let me get to the end. Yeah. Since Koberger's arrest, so-called suspects like Jack Showalter, Jack DeCoeur, Gonsalves's ex-boyfriend, and Chapin's fraternity brothers have been exonerated by reality, though who knows what kind of psychological or professional toll this kind of experience exacts. So before this part of the article, she had just talked about how they had been just slaughtered by the YouTubers she was just talking about, how those 3 people she was just talking about. One of the surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen, however, continues to withstand a huge amount of abuse. Mortensen and the other surviving roommate, Bethany Funky, both named as victims in prosecutorial filings, were pilloried on social media. A friend of theirs told me, alleging that one self-appointed detective posted pictures of Mortensen and Funky every day, analyzing their evil expressions and accusing them of the crime. I'm wondering if that was TNT, because she kept finding pictures of them from their social media and posting them every day, and it was just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. How is this going to help? It's just content to them, and it's these people's lives. Neuroscientists have found that when we interact with social media, it's the anticipation of answers, not their existence, that stirs in us a need to keep clicking, scrolling, and posting. Perhaps that's why Koberger's arrest brings less closure to sleuths than one might anticipate. Did any of you notice that some sleuths seemed disappointed? Some of the sleuthers actually seemed disappointed when there was an arrest in the case. It's like you could almost palpably see it. That is shocking to me. All right, continuing on. In our internet addicted brains, it seems productive to skip past endings and repost whatever fresh allegations we've just read, misguided by the myth that social media is a tool for social justice. In reality, studies show that screens lower our empathy, increasing the tendency toward cruelty, which can camouflage online as heroism. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? We've seen that just so in abundance here. In Justice on Demand, True Crime in the Digital Streaming Era, Dr. Tanya Horrick writes, the notion that audiences can participate in true crime has, of course, always been a feature of the genre because it offers a metaphorical seat in the jury box. What is different about today's true crime audience, Horrick says, is their expectation that the genre literally be interactive, that justice is something that can be accessed through binge watching. There's something deeply human about fascination with crime. The central enigma of murder is death, a painful reality that comes for us all, and one that we instinctively fight throughout our lives, differentiating ourselves from victims like Mortensen and her housemates by judging their choices and hunting their killers, as if that protects us from some random acts of violence. But whatever we might learn at Brian Kohberger's trial, there can never be a tolerable explanation for what happened to Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. We want to believe in social media's immense power to reverse or at least rectify injustices. The alternative is that we've bought into a massive conspiracy, surfing and shaming and buying, fooled by the idea that our addiction to screens is productive, virtuous. Never mind the destruction we leave in our wake. I wasn't prepared for that ending. And it's so true. I mean, it's exactly what I've been saying, but it says it in, in more poignant ways than I could say it. And I just very much appreciate that Vanity Fair wrote that article and made more people aware of this phenomenon. And I very, very much hope, I don't think this will happen, but I very much hope that anybody who is participating in true crime sleuthing in the way that they are describing takes a, kind of takes a step back and looks at, their motives. Thank you, Chronicles of a Shady. Looks at their motives and looks at their, isn't there a better way? I know that most of the time what they're just doing is trying to make content or trying to make a buck some way, and they think, okay, well, this is my way of making a buck. And, I've thought of a way to raise money by saying, oh, I'm going to go to these places and my audience is going to help get me there by raising money. Isn't there a more valuable way of doing that? Can you maybe put more thinking into it than just taking somebody else's life and dragging it and invading it in the worst way at the worst possible time in their life? I mean, just think, you just witnessed your best friend get hit by a car, and then you got a bunch of YouTubers blaming you for it because you stood there and didn't push her off the car. That's what you people are doing. It's hard to watch. And we all have to take accountability for what we do and what our impact is. And when you are on a public platform, you are putting yourself out there for critique. I am too. Not to be harassed and dragged through the mud and called all kinds of horrible names, and that's not what I'm going to do to other people. But I am going to critique people who I believe are doing harm to other people and doing harm, to social media and as a whole. And I don't want anybody to forget. I don't want anybody to forget social media's role in this, because the algorithm detects the content that is, I'm going to put myself, I'm going to take this off right now. Social media and the algorithm detects the content that has the most rage and fear in it, and it promotes it more. And then when it creates the ensuing, chaos, and people get hurt, by somebody who lied to create that rage, or who yelled to create that, or posted nudity, or threatened to post nudity, or called somebody something horrible, or told somebody to kill themselves. When the algorithm promotes that, and then somebody reports it and it doesn't get followed up on, the social media platforms are complicit in this constant chaos and additional trauma that ensues. And in my view, in the true crime genre, it's particularly pernicious, because it seems like and I've traveled all around the YouTube universe, okay, and looked around. It really feels like to me that in true crime, it's more vicious. You would think that people in the live true crime, thanks for being here, Amelia, that people who are covering true crime and who are trying to advocate for victims would have more compassion. But I believe that they have a lot of people who join the true crime genre as a content creator. Sometimes they join that genre because they have a criminal mindset, and they know it's easier for them to make content that way. And sometimes they've recovered from that criminal mindset and they have a lot of good to share. Sometimes they have not recovered. They have not turned over the other leaf from that criminal mindset, and they're just going to keep perpetrating that criminal mindset on people on YouTube. And you have to be able to learn how to differentiate from people who are still perpetrating that criminal mindset on other people, and people who have turned over the other leaf. And it can be very complicated and nuanced at times, but that's the nature of the game on social media now, because we're not in each other's orbits personally, to be able to get the the vibe, get the personal vibe, right? I agree. It's anybody who wants to there is a criminal mindset in every geolocation, in every socioeconomic status, in every race, creed, color, everything. That criminals exist in everywhere. So you have to learn how to read the signs of that, and when people are taking advantage, are willing to take that kind of advantage of other people. And it's just sometimes it's definitely harder to pick that up online, and that's why criminals will do it online, because it's easier to take advantage of people online. I saw somebody ask a question here. If I had a personal tragedy, why would I watch or cared about YouTube? Please explain. Okay, I'll explain this to you. Actually, what happens is when people's children go missing, they are desperate for any kind of help, and a lot of times they don't feel like they're being helped enough by law enforcement. They're not getting enough information. Things are not going fast enough. And what YouTube does and social media does is said, "Oh, I'll help you." There are actual, YouTubers and creators who will say on their channels, "I will investigate for you. I will um, I will raise money for you. I will come to your house and put out flyers." And in many cases, they are well-meaning, but in all honesty, I've seen more often than not that in those cases, they turn into absolute chaotic shit shows. And the Summer of Wells case is one example of that. The Watts case, and I've covered this on this channel. If you go through and you look at my true crime coverage, I talk about how when YouTubers get personally involved in true crime cases, unfortunately, a lot of times they do not have the best intentions, and they end up scamming the actual the actual victim's family or the actual criminal's family. They go in and say, "Oh, hello, accused criminal, accused murderer's family. I'm going to help you raise money for your defense." And then, I challenge anyone here to find me an example of when a YouTuber was actually able to help somebody mount a criminal defense and a defense for a criminal, and it actually helped them. I mean, it's possible. I could be off, but but since I've been around on YouTube, I haven't seen an example where a YouTuber was able to actually help a family. What I've seen is that when they get directly involved in a YouTube in a true crime case, they do more harm than good. What I believe the role of social media in true crime for me is awareness. It's awareness. It's complementing whatever law enforcement needs. It's not trying to replace what they are doing. But some people, think that they know better than law enforcement. And that's why I think that this the comment, the poll quote that I put up there is and I can't hide it without quieting myself. But anyway, I mean, if anybody can give me an example of when a YouTuber actually helped. And also, just beware of any YouTuber who says, if their primary income or their primary purpose is content and they say they're going to investigate for you, no. If their primary, if they had an established career as an investigator before they became a YouTuber, and they have an investigator's license, or if they were a lawyer, they already have a law degree, and they have a established legal practice, and they are still offering those services, that's a whole thing. But if what they are primarily there to do is to provide content, don't use them for those other services, because your case will eventually become content. And your goal and their goal are going to come at cross purposes, because there's going to come a time when you're not going to want your stuff to be content, and they're going to want your stuff to become content. And that might even put you at danger, and it will put your case, if you have a case, at danger of being solved. I actually truly think that in some cases, YouTubers have hampered cases from being solved. They have obstructed cases. I would love to interview law enforcement from like Hawkins County and ask them, do you think that if the YouTubers hadn't gotten involved, you might have been able to solve that case by now? The answer could have been, oh, it had nothing to do with YouTubers. It's just an issue. It's just a terrible case, and we haven't been able to find her. But I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to put up the guardrails. There has to be some sort of community standard that we all adhere to, that we all understand, that if we if we don't follow these community standards, we're going to harm the cases. And we have to care about that. We have to care about that. Unfortunately, the world's full of sociopaths who don't care. And, what I try to do is help you figure out how to detect those types of people and those types of YouTubers and that kind of activity on YouTube. So, excuse me. Gray Hughes discovered that fire cam and print. Yeah. That's a good example. I mean, I don't watch Gray. I'm sure there are other examples like that. I wish there were more examples like that than there seems to be more of an abundance of examples of when creators got in the way. Because like then, so he found that fire cam, and then Adventures with Purpose went in, and then they created a whole new wave of questions in the case by coming up and saying, I think there was foul play. Right? Any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Oh my God. Did you hear that? I accidentally had a little burp in me. Closed mouth burp. Any questions? Any comments? Any it's Friday. It's Friday, March 10th. I think that's it for me. I just feel that's right, Mona Lisa. I just feel, even though I had nothing to do with that Vanity Fair article, nothing whatsoever, I feel kind of vindicated. Wasn't Ellie already aware it was an accident, though, when the video came out? It was basically to disprove all the other YouTubers at their theories, which he shouldn't have to do. Yeah, I didn't follow the case closely enough to know whether that's true or not, but it was all, as you say, shady. It's just yeah. And Mike M, just to be clear, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is not across the board. I'm sure there are YouTubers who actually have helped people. But the ones who say they're helping people and then don't, and then harm people, give the ones who actually do help people a bad name. Put a stain on everybody else who do want to really help people. All right. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, that you have great plans, that it's going to be at least nice enough weather to, get out and do something fun with your friends, family, or whoever or even alone, if that's what you prefer. And I really appreciate you being here. Thank you very much, judge and jury. Please remember to hit that thumbs up and consider becoming a member. I'm going to put the member link there. All right. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will thank you, Polish Girl. And I will see you soon to talk about breaking the cycle of YouTube scamming. All right. Peace out.